Drop the lawsuits, Ethan. Drop the lawsuits. You know they're frivolous. You know it has nothing to do with copyright or anything like that. You'll win a lot more good favor if you were to do that. So much harm has been caused in this process. There are a lot of people who spent every waking moment being monstrous pieces of shit for the past 2 years. From the likes of people in prominent positions of power who had all of the power to do something about this and they refused to do so, down to YouTubers, okay? Down to YouTubers who spent the last 2 years cementing their legacy as rapacious writers of Israel by trying to deplatform all of its prominent critics. Of course, they still, on the one hand, are seemingly proud of their accomplishments in that time period, while simultaneously trying to rewrite the narrative as though they did not actively try to call every somewhat brown or Muslim-sounding critic of Israel a terrorist, an Islamist fundamentalist terrorist of the highest order that deserves not only scrutiny, but also potential prosecution.
Any laws that we can go after Hasan for? Are you familiar with that? Has he broken any domestic terror laws or... No, probably not domestic terror laws, but like inciting. I mean, what can we do about that?
Yeah, that's out of my realm. I usually do just civil stuff.
Sure, fair enough. Fair enough. You're useless to me, Tom.
Definitely deplatforming, so much so that the entire platform that hosts any sort of dissent against Israel and Israel's genocide must also suffer material harm. Wonder who I'm talking about. A person who, now that TikTok is back in the hands of someone who is sympathetic to the Zionist cause, might be trying to rewrite history. There are things that people like this could do, like, I don't know, drop the frivolous litigation pursuit. That could be a good start for people to let bygones be bygones. I don't know if it would rewrite the history. Just thinking out loud here. People who have made beeper jokes over and over again whenever, Frogan was on screen, only to turn around and be like, beeper jokes. We would never make light of the Mossad terror attack on Lebanese people. We would never do that. We would never, ever do that. Oh, that's right. You did do that.
Like AB said, we got the memo. We got the memo.
Did she?
We know you're rearing and ready to go.
Did she page you, Dan? Did you check your?
I didn't. I didn't get anything on my pager. No. Yeah, I still use a beeper.
At this point,
I'll check again. I'm gonna search my email right now.
I wonder who they are.
To defend myself against wild accusations.
Wait,
but
what?
I also came back because I want to apologize for things that I genuinely got wrong. For example,
we're planning to go to Israel in June with my parents, and I'm actually really excited to go there. I want to show you guys how beautiful, how multicultural, how like free it feels for people, or just it's a beautiful place. It is. It's one of the most diverse places I've ever been.
Looking back, I definitely feel ashamed for the way I spoke about Israel with such levity at the time that a genocide was happening. I completely understand why people...
That's cool. That's a good first step, I think. That's a good first step. It's just, if only that was the only reason why people were like, hey, man, I think you might be defending Israel a little too hard, calling its prominent critics of Muslim background terrorists and its prominent critics of Jewish background token Jews, but Hamas supporters all the same.
I am so proud to be marching with so many Jews.
Yes, the Jews! The Jews are here! Did we mention that? Mm-hmm. Give the Jewish guy the mic.
Child of all ages!
Yes! And of course there are Jews there, right? And Jews have... are allowed to have different perspectives and stuff, but this man is like the embodiment of a Jewish token, like holy. So let's say 10,000 Jews are members of Jewish Voices for Peace, and they tour all around the country, showing up at every like pro-Palestinian protest or whatever the they're doing, and and they parade them around like, here's one of the good Jews. It's 10,000 people of 6 million in America, and part of the disgusting propaganda that they do is that they try to convince everybody that this represents the Jewish majority, but it's not. Anyway, whatever.
It does not represent it.
You know, like, because remember, it's not just people like myself that he just like actively went after. He went after Jews, anti-Zionist Jews as well, with a similar level of intensity, demanding that Matt Lieb get fired from Good Mythical Morning.
Matt Lieb, I think this guy's Jewish too. Listen, even if you're like an anti-Zionist as it comes, sitting across from this guy as a Jewish person is the most despicable, backward shit you can ever do. This guy is not anti-Zionist. He is anti-Semitic. He hates Jewish people. It's not even debatable. Like, you ask Hassan that a year ago, he'd been like, yeah, no, he's just anti-Semitic. I mean, it's known, okay? I'm gonna get more into showing you guys more about this, but like, this is why I have nothing but disdain for these guys. He first of all, this guy Matt Lieb had Frogan on after my feud with her, and again, once again, characterizing me as a harasser. I have never started shit with any of these people. I have only ever responded to them. And Matt Lieb, he has Frogan on, and he describes me as a Jewish supremacist, and then he has Bad Empanada on. So yeah, Matt Lieb. And I still think he should get fired. And I think that every day that Rhett and Lee keep this guy on the payroll is a disgrace to them.
Consistently calling him a token Jew, defending the Gaza Holocaust Fund, the GHF, also known as the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, to try to get a own on his opposition, to try to get an own on me, having a Atlantic Council Palestinian who is a firm and committed defender of Israel with a Palestinian association to go on the broadcast to talk about how all of the prominent critics of Israel are actually also dangerous Hamas supporters who don't simply understand the situation at all. Even fundraising for the Atlantic Council, which is a right-wing American think tank. America is once again a belligerent in this genocide that Israel is conducting against the Palestinians. There's so much more that Ethan Klein has done, but I'll take it. I'll take this first apology. I think it's good. It more so just represents the tide shift that is finally even hitting him in the face. You know what I mean? For the longest time, he just refused to recognize what was going on, and the walls kept closing in. Yes, as Omer El-Akkad said, one day we will all have been against this. One day. And it's getting there right now. This bullshit he was just posting the token Palestine Israel uses the other day, saying you were responsible for attacks against them. Dude, that doesn't even open up. Like, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. Whether it be the relentless defending of Gaza Humanitarian Fund, Foundation's talking points over and over again, even at the time when the international advocacy organizations and human rights organizations were saying this is an aid trap, this is perfidy, this is a war crime. It is literally directly mentioned in the UN report that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation unironically played a role in the famine that was taking place as a part of Israel's genocidal project, as a part of Israel's genocidal ambition. He kept posting their talking points over and over again. He kept posting their press releases over and over again. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. He kept posting Hen Mazik from the Tel Aviv Institute. Hen Mazik, you might recall, wrote that article for the Hollywood Reporter against Hannah Einbinder after she came out and said, "Free Palestine, Israel," on her Emmy Awards recognition. All of that is out there for people to watch. There's part of the reason why I didn't, take too much offense over the context nuke that Ethan Klein put together at the time that he thought was going to be the end of my career. How foolish, how stupid. It was because he's not a believer in anything, really. Well, I guess maybe the state of Israel and the Zionist project. But outside of that, he's not a believer in anything beyond, I guess, whatever suits his fancy, whatever hurts his narcissistic feelings. So narcissistic that he can make an ongoing genocide all about himself and his own personal feelings. Having said that, The reason why I didn't give a shit too much is because time will pass. And I knew that eventually people would recognize right from wrong. More and more people would start recognizing exactly what was taking place. And when they did, I fear that they would look back at that compilation perhaps with very different eyes. Very, very different eyes. The context nuke that he shamefully copyrighted with the intent to sue every single one of his detractors that watched it. He would have sued you too had you not reacted to just a part for it for over 10 hours. Yeah. To this day, so much of the dumb nonsense that I see online from people who think like, oh, I'm pro-Palestine too. I'm just pro-Palestine and not this direction, but some other unforeseeable direction. No matter where I go, when I see these comments like, Hasan, isn't that guy like, doesn't he glaze terrorists? From some of the dumbest right-wingers of all time, and even some dumb liberals who don't know any better. It all stems back to the same deplatforming initiatives that ultimately failed, conducted by Sex Pestany, who ruined his own career once again, and also his partner in crime, Ethan Klein, who not only was aligning himself and utilizing Sex Pestany's own clips out of context compilations, something that even Barry Weiss has done for the Free Press, by the way, and now she will be in charge of CBS. Shouts out to the Ellison family for that wonderful new voice, an underrepresented voice in mainstream news. Not only did he use those clips out of context to drive home an incredibly racist narrative that a critic of Israel was actually a terrorist, a Muslim critic of Israel was actually a terrorist, over and over again, really leaning into those Islamophobic sentiments.
Some fresh criticism for Hasan, who is an outright supporter of terrorism. Quite literally. He is a champion for terrorism and a supporter of terrorism. And if you don't believe me, watch the video. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say about that.
Weaponizing it like it was nothing, on the wrong side of a goddamn genocide, but also even went as far as to directly, materially align with Destiny's partner, his podcast co-host, Dan Saltman, a 60-year-old psychopath who also, just like Ethan Klein, tried to actively not only deplatform me and many other critics of Israel, but also went so far as to initiate a adpocalypse, to try to initiate an adpocalypse against an entire platform of content creators on Twitch.
What would you like to talk about? You want to talk about the mission?
What's your progress going forward with Twitch?
I have congressional meetings set up. Okay, that's like with more than one dude. Republicans, obviously. Shifted.
What's a congressional meeting?
Well, I guess it's when there's with multiple congressmen, and it's like a fact-finding mission for them, where they go and they. Oh, stop the video. Sorry.
Super hard right now.
Okay. All right. So a congressional video is where not a congressional video. A congressional meeting is where there's multiple of them, and they have their aides with them, their chiefs of staffs with them, and then they're trying to find out, like, okay, explain this to us, everything from start to finish, and they're taking notes, and then they're issuing subpoenas and shit like that after that based on the information of what you give.
How insane. They went so far as to work with Israel's own attack dog, Richie Torres. Dan Stalkman even went and talked to numerous Republicans in his advocacy to try to pull me in front of Congress. He celebrated it. And now those very same fascists that he aligned himself with in an effort to try and get me deplatformed are working to get his best friend and podcast co-host, Sex Pestany, also deplatformed. How do you deal with that? So yeah, it's a good start to apologize for saying that you were going to go to the multifaceted, multicultural Israel amidst the genocide and refuse to understand what my criticisms were on that front. I know for many out-of-touch fans of Ethan Klein who don't care about anything but whatever Ethan Klein says and does, this hopefully will give them a little bit of comfort to be able to defend him in broad daylight. This will give them enough to say, look, see, he apologizes. He takes accountability for his actions. His opponents, on the other hand, they never do. Well, Sometimes there's no reason to apologize if you've done nothing wrong. But I welcome them to the pro-Palestinian cause after spending all of the past 2 years working to deplatform critics of Israel. Fantastic.
People could watch this clip and judge me harshly for it. I want to apologize to anyone in the Palestinian diaspora or anybody that's been affected by this war that felt that I was trivial.
Watch you for the news for so long, you successfully gaslit me into thinking this guy either matters at all. I mean, he's utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but the harm that he committed to critics of Israel is serious. I mean, he got numerous people deplatformed, numerous people banned for 30 over a Sabra hummus joke, dude. Also, we shouldn't be just apologizing. I don't know who the apologizing, the Palestinian diaspora should be apologizing, but you can't, to Palestinians as a whole.
Realizing the suffering, the horror that you've gone through. And for that, I deeply am sorry, and I'm ashamed of this clip. I came back to TikTok.
Wild accusations, except admitting that at least like one component of it was not so wild, I guess. In any case, I like how he's only doing this because the UN said it's a genocide. I don't think so. I think a lot of people are recognizing that there's just no defense of Israel. There's just no defense of Israel whatsoever. But that won't stop them from attacking Israel's critics. How much of this is just the acquisition of media entities by Israel-friendly corporations? Does it incentivize having a better image for future business? I'm a firm believer that no matter how much you try to manipulate the public by purchasing CBS and shit, ultimately, people are still going to be looking for the truth. Cat's out of the bag, toothpaste out of the tube, as I like to say. So all you'll be doing is cooking these media properties further when they just remove the last shred of credibility that they may have had. Can't wait for them to pivot back to criticizing your Ukraine takes again. Oh my God, I know. It's so crazy for me that it's just like all of this could have been avoided if he just listened to his friend at the time when his podcast co-host had his best interest in mind and was trying to be like, listen, dude, here's why you're coming across like you're defending Israel. You need to dial it back. People have no capacity to understand what's in your heart and in your mind. They only have a capacity to hear what you're saying, and what you're saying seems a whole lot like you're defending Israel. He said he laid off you because of the whole Charlie Kirk thing, so there's that at least. Great. Remember when he also said that I falsely claimed that I was issuing a death threat against his wife, and then got mad at Destiny because Destiny took that as an opportunity to literally issue an actual direct death threat against me. And then he openly stated, oh, you ruined it. We really had a win here, but you had to open your mouth and ruin it. Now he can play the victim. That's what he said. I think that shows you a lot about the calculations at play here. Drop the lawsuits, Ethan. Drop the lawsuits. You know they're frivolous. You know it has nothing to do with copyright or anything like that. You'll win a lot more good favor if you were to do that. I know you think that the people that you're attacking are unfavorable by the new audience that you have cultivated, but it's a good gesture. Laid off you, complaining about your op-ed and reposting the same out of context clip about Kamala versus Trump 10 times. I know that he did do that when I got the op-ed. I'm sure he's not actually going to lay off regardless. He just seems like a petty tyrant himself, just so thin-skinned, so narcissistic. He feels like when people have wronged him in his mind, he just never stops. It's clear to me. The reason why I say that is because he didn't stop even when his own fans were like, dude, just shut up about this. Like, okay, we got it. We hate Hasan. He sucks, you know? And he was like, nope, not going to stop. He has to have enemies all the time. And I guess in the past, it seemed like he chose his enemies well. But it is clear that he will align himself with anyone and everyone. There is no matter how awful someone has been to him personally, no matter how anti-Semitic they've been throughout their entire career, he will welcome those people with open arms. No real moral consistency here whatsoever. That's it. So much harm has been caused in this process, but, again, I only care about this as far as it is taking up space from much more important things that we could be talking about. Just add it onto the file, So frustrating.